What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Progress Report. Today, I'm here to introduce you guys to a very special guest here in Chicago. I'm here with Mr. Blake Martin.
Hello, everybody.
So, what was it that really sparked your interest in dance, production, and just the fashion industry overall?
Well, kind of different for dance and fashion. Dance was brought to me in a very, very rough time in my life. As a youth, I was separated from my mother for quite some time, and so I suffered really, really bad depression and suicidal thoughts. I actually attempted suicide around 12 times as a kid. And then I found the world of dance, and it kind of saved my life. And so I danced quite a bit as a youth. I was in Gatorade commercials, Gap commercials. I performed with Rihanna when she first came out and no one knew who she was or cared about her. And then one day I was hired to choreograph dancers for a fashion show. Prior to that, I had never even been to a fashion show, but my job was the dancer, so that was easy. About 2.5 weeks before the show, the fashion show producer quit. And everyone kind of looked at me like, well, you're the next in line. You kind of know the show. Can you fill in? And I said, I've never been to a fashion show, but how hard could it be? And at that fashion show, I just never looked back at dance again. I fell in love with the art of producing a fashion show. And it's been my life ever since, and that was 12 years ago.
So, for your process, within fashion, within production, do you have any sources of inspiration, whether that's within the industry or just in your personal life as well?
Absolutely. I think I have two biggest inspirations, and that's my mom and music. So my mother was always that person that kind of, again, told me follow my voice, never think it's too big. My mother was the same way. She was a single mother who was told she would never graduate from high school, let alone go to college. My mother had 5 master's degrees and 2 doctorate degrees. So she was the first one to say it's never too big, always push yourself further. 2, my main inspiration is music. And I know for a fashion producer, that's kind of odd. But for my process, if I can hear a song, hearing one song, I can create an entire show around it. My mind literally will be in a car, hear a song, and I see the designs, I see the models, I see the lights, I see the people, I see everything just listening to this song. So a lot of times when I'm trying to get inspiration for a show, I just listen to music and gather my inspiration from that.
So I know you've worked with a lot of high-profile celebrities and big events here in Chicago and around the world, really. So where do you see yourself going next, short-term and long-term?
Great question. And for business owners, people who have been in the business a very long time will probably hate my next answer, but I don't have a goal. And I say that because when I started off as a dancer, I assumed I would be a dancer, maybe dance in a few dance teams, dance in the living room for my mom, dance with my friends. And then one day I found myself on set dancing for Gatorade and the Gap. When I started off in fashion, I thought I would produce a few local shows in Chicago, have some fun, do a regular job, but this would be my hobby. And then one day I look up and I'm sitting in an office with Oprah. And the next day I look up and I'm on a flight to China for 3.5 months to produce fashion. So those are things I would have never in a million years imagined for myself, especially for a company I started. So I don't have a goal because life has done me good just working hard and letting myself be on the ride.
Do you have any pieces of advice for them who, again, they may not know the exact stops that they want to make, they just know they want to take their personal brand to the next level?
I think the best advice I can give to someone is know your brand, research your craft. I spend a lot of time self-educating, reading, watching videos, reaching out to business professionals and begging for 5 minutes of their time to pick their brain. So I know my business. And so when I'm on this plane of the business, no matter what stop my plane makes, I know the language in that city because I've educated myself on my brand. So no opportunity has come to me yet that I've been unprepared for because I do a lot of self-educating. So any advice I would give is, while you're waiting on that next stop, educate yourself. I think the mistake that a lot of us do is thinking we're in a creative space. And I'm an artist, I can rap, I can sing, that's what I need. I'm a model, I'm pretty, that's what I need. That's not realistic. In order to truly be successful, you have to know the business behind what you're doing in order to truly get yourself to the next level.
Do you have any other experiences that come to mind that have just been a really rewarding experience when it comes to, just stepping out on your own?
Yeah, last year, 2 years ago in 2016, my mother was dealing with cancer, and a company came to me and asked me to produce a fashion tour in China for several weeks. And I obviously happily agreed, but it was not something I ever thought would come to fruition, because I sat down with my mother's doctors and they said, look, she's in bad shape. And if you go to China, when you get back, she will not be here. Understand that. That was on July 3rd of 2016. I called the company, I said, I would love this opportunity, but I can't do it. I would be devastated if I was over there and my mom passed and it would take me 2 days to even get home. I can't do it. Literally 7 hours later, my mom passed away. I found my voice the most because my mother just had passed away. So I spent a lot of time in my downtime walking around the streets of China at 2 in the morning when no one was out, just talking to God, talking to my mom, asking, I'm here, what's next? And I think it just defined my inner voice a little bit more. So I appreciate that experience more than anything else in the world.
Can you let the people know just, you had the opportunity to plan a lot of different events, and I know you have a very large calendar coming up for 2018. So can you let the people know a little bit about what you have planned for them in 2018, and also let the people know what separates a Blake Martin production from other events in the city?
What is in store for 2018? First of all, I want to say that God is so good. A lot of business owners go into 2018 unsure of the path for their brand, and 2018 is already crazy and hectic for me. This month, I started off this year on New Year's Eve producing 6 shows around the U.S. Even though I was here in Chicago, I had 2 shows here in Chicago, 3 in New York, 1 in Atlanta, and 1 in Miami. So I started off the new year literally working. I have a show this Friday at a nightclub. I have 5 castings this month. Next month in February, I'm taking 50 fashion professionals from Chicago to New York for Fashion Week, which is a huge undertaking. Van from Black Ink Crew Chicago has hired me to produce his show, which is also in February. Danny J from Black Ink Crew has hired me to produce her show, which will be in March. I have a huge celebration for my mother I'm producing, which is also in March. I have a Timberland show coming up in March as well. I have a Nike show coming up in April. I've been hired to produce a 2-week tour around the US in May, not to mention several 8 shows that I'm hosting during Fashion Week in February. So my calendar is already kind of, I don't want to say booked up because I'm always taking more clients, but my calendar is hectic already from January until May. And what separates other shows from Blake Martin production is I produce from front of the house back, and I produce from the seat of the guest. What can I do to give every person in that seat a show? I produce from their perspective. What's the shiny lights gonna feel like in their eyes? What are the dancers gonna do to get them excited? How do the models need to walk to keep them engaged? So when you come to my show, it's a show. I put a lot of work and effort into the small details to make every guest feel engaged and like they got their money's worth.
So thank you for joining us on the show.
Absolutely.
For people who are looking to get in contact with you or just want to stay connected with you on social media, do you want to share out your information and contact?
Sure. My website is Blake Martin, P-R-O-D, again, BLAKEMARTINPROD.com. My social media on Instagram is Mr. Blake Martin. My Facebook is Blake Martin. I don't really use Twitter anymore. So if you really want to reach me, it's my website. If you really want to just interact with me, it will be Instagram. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us here on the Progress Report.
Happy New Year, everybody.